And welcome back, everyone. Today, I've got my little cue card here, and I'm ready to begin talking to you guys about something that people have actually asked me quite a few times now, and that is how to make puzzles in tabletop role-playing games, or Call of Cthulhu, Dungeons and Dragons, whatever specifically, right? And this is the top 5 things that I think you should take into account when you're going to be creating any type of puzzle or mental challenge for your players in your game. Actually, technically, it's 4 tips and 1 snide comment. And I think I'm going to start with the snide comment and just get this out of the way. I personally feel that puzzles are not very useful in tabletop role-playing games. Just hear me out. Puzzles are not role-playing.
So on this podcast, we also like to pick apart the stupid things the stupid guy says. I mean, puzzles are not role-playing. He's got to be the stupidest sentence maker in the entire history of stupid sentence makers and stupid sentences. Change the world, that one did. I'm being sarcastic. In case you missed that. Also cut.
And in the role-playing game, when you're using these puzzles, they often will have your players stuck for a really long time. They will have only 1 or 2 players engaged, or they will just get boring to use. And that is the case in almost every single time you use puzzles. After this, I'm going to tell you some ways that you can make sure that, and pray to God that that doesn't happen, that you're not sitting there for 3 hours trying to figure out the nature of the puzzles. But at the end of the day, same with combat and my issues with combat, puzzling is not role-playing.
Puzzles are not role-playing.
A lot of times the puzzles do not add to the story. And because of that, they're just time wasters. They do not really add much to the narrative, with some exceptions, and I will go over those in this video. Now, before I continue, please subscribe to the channel, like this video, and yeah, let's get into it. So that was the first thing, is puzzles, not actually all that cool. But now, the real first thing that you want to keep in mind when you're creating a puzzle is you want to break it down. So what is a puzzle? So when you go to make a puzzle, you need to first decide what is the objective, right? That is the big thing the players are trying to do. It's always something. They're trying to do something. They're trying to accomplish something. They're trying to open a door. They're trying to break into a place. That's also another door opening. They're trying to cast this ritual. They're trying to cast a ritual. They're trying to summon a dragon. There are so many different things, so many different goals that a player could have in mind. A lot of times, environmental things such as locks and blocking the path, so to speak, is used for most puzzles. And the second thing you need to do is you need to think to yourself, all right, so what's the player's objective? What is it that they're trying to do here? Or what is it that I want them to be trying to do? And then think of what you're going to put in their way. What is the thing stopping them from completing their goal? What is going to hinder them or harm them? And sometimes the best puzzles are more traps than puzzles, but that's just my opinion. And you don't really need to do it. But I think it raises the stakes and makes it more story relevant when you turn the puzzles deadly. So they have to solve a puzzle, and if they get it wrong, there is consequences. Or if they fail and then they try again, you know, they have taken some form of damage. And a lot of times I feel like using a puzzle in this way, you can stop the never-ending puzzle where you've put up a wall and they cannot figure out how to get through, and they're just stuck at the wall the entire game. And instead just say, all right, here's the wall. You can go through the wall. So you could allow them to fail and still move the story forward. And I address this using failure to move story forward more in my video using success and failure as a game master, which you can find right up here. And yeah, go check that out if you want to. But now, continuing, Then the final thing you want to decide on is how the players can overcome the said objective. So they need to find the key to open the lock. They need to get in a riddle contest with Gollum, right? There are so many examples in literature of using different types of puzzles. So the 3 things that you need to keep in mind when you go to plan out your puzzle is what's the goal? What is it that they're trying to do? What is stopping them? And how can they get past it? That is the entire concept of a puzzle. That's what you need to know. Now, this is the most important thing, and I guess this would be number 3, and this is tie it in. This is integral, and I am the type of game master that will never use puzzles unless this is evident. Tie it into the story. If you have to use puzzles, because again, I really don't like puzzles, but if you're going to use a puzzle, you want it tied into both the setting. If you're playing Call of Cthulhu, you want the puzzle to be horror. You want it to be horrifying. You want it to be some kind of... You want it to use the setting in a certain way. And if you are going to tie it into the setting, you also want to tie it into the story. A million times more you want to tie it into the story. Tie it into the different players, tie it into what they do and how they're trying to accomplish the goals that they set out to accomplish. You want to tie the puzzle into the narrative. And one of the greatest ways to do that is to make the puzzle not an object. And this is my opinion, again. But if you make the puzzle a villain, an evil mastermind who tries to put up barriers for the players, that is a much better way to tie in a puzzle to a story, and that's just one example, than just it being a random puzzle, which I've seen in so many Dungeons & Dragons modules and have seen in some games that I've played. Now, this is super important as well. You need to make it simple. So number 4, make it simple. Why is that? And this is, again, you want to make sure that the players are having fun. So as they say in RuneQuest, maximum game fun. It is essential. That is the entire purpose of playing the game. And if you're not having fun, why are you still playing? So as a game master, you want to make sure your players are constantly having fun. You want to make things exciting, relevant, deep in scope, just make the story deep, involve their characters, let them feel like they are influencing and shaping the story, make credible objectives for them. You need to make sure that these puzzles are not going to make them be sitting there for 4 hours trying to figure some crazy thing out unless they're having fun, right? You want them to be having fun. And so you need to be fair as a game master. So when you go to create a puzzle, don't make it super difficult. Make it simpler. Because puzzles are already often annoying. Only certain types of people like trying to solve puzzles, and the rest will just kind of be sitting there not really doing anything. Or they'll be trying to screw up the puzzle. You know, they'll try to find ways around it. If it's a guy asking riddles, their power gamer will just kill him. Or the murder hobo, right? If they're gonna be sitting there for over an hour, they're like, screw this, we're just gonna move along. So you want the puzzles to be fair. You want them to have some form of clear direction at all times. And that is a larger game master advice, really.
Always have a clear direction.
Because when you don't, everything seems like it's slowing down to a halt and everything's boring and stupid. So you want to give the players a sense that they have any type of clear direction. So when you're creating a puzzle, you want to give them clues. You want to make sure that they know what it is that they're doing. Are they going to continue moving along this path? You need to set forth something for them so that they know what it is they're trying to accomplish. Otherwise, they're just going to be floundering and flailing around, not really knowing what they're trying to do. And if that's the case, then it's not fun for anyone. And again, this ties into the idea that the puzzle should be tied into the story, right? You want them to be connected. Otherwise, the puzzle really shouldn't be there in the first place. The puzzle needs to make sense in the flow of the narrative, in whatever it is that you are in the story you're telling, you want the puzzle to be relevant. Otherwise, there's no reason for it to be in there. So keep your puzzles simple. And finally, my final piece of advice for people trying to create puzzles, traps, use clues in their games is to engage the players. You don't want them to just be able to roll to pass any type of puzzle that you make. You want them to be using their brains. That's the idea of the puzzle. So while you want to make it simple and you want to give them clear direction, keeping that simplicity in mind, you also want to challenge and engage the players. And also engage yourself by designing puzzles that you yourself would enjoy running. Because if you don't like riddles, why would you put them in your game? Or if you don't like using all these math and number things, if the players come up to a large grid of squares like in Indiana Jones and they have to hop along certain ones and stuff, you want to make sure that everyone's having fun and doing something that they enjoy. Otherwise, why'd you leave it in there? So engage the player characters. Have them use their characters' personalities or their statistics, everything that you possibly can to draw out character moments. Because at the end of the day, a puzzle should be a tool. It's a game master tool, right? And as I already said multiple times, I don't really think that puzzles are super useful to most game masters, but in some cases you can use it to create powerful scenes if you engage the players in ways that also allow for role-playing beats while they're trying to figure out the puzzles. And a lot of movies do this very well. And yeah, just bear in mind that you should, the biggest things to take away from this is if you're going to make a trap, if you're going to use clues, if you're going to use if you're going to design your own puzzles and stuff that you want the players, the adventurers, the investigators to figure out, tie it into the story, tie it into the players, make sure it's simple enough that they can understand it, but difficult enough to challenge them. And yeah, that's about all I've got. Shorter video, but thank you very much for watching. If you're new here, again, please subscribe to the channel. Lots of Game Master related content coming multiple times a week. And like the video, thank you very much for watching. I will be back soon with more RuneQuest and Call of Cthulhu Deathstroke 9 out. Thank you guys for watching.